Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson with 13 News Now. We are based in Norfolk, Virginia, which is southeastern Virginia, also covering northeastern North Carolina. And today is an impactful day for us here across coastal Virginia and North Carolina as we're tracking what was a Gulf low now up into parts of the mid-south that is producing a lot of rainfall here across the East Coast, way far away from us, but we're expecting widespread rain today. The weather desk is Monday through Friday daily weather desk at 9 a.m. where we talk about the top weather headlines that could be here around parts of your area in Hampton Roads in northeast North Carolina. That could be around the country, or even sometimes we go around the world. But today we're going to keep this a little bit more local than we usually do, just because we have impactful weather here in Hampton Roads today. So let's talk about what we're going to see for today. Here are our main weather headlines for your weather impact alert. That's going to last all day for your Tuesday. We will also see the potential for rain continuing through the rest of your work week, where we have storms in the forecast for tomorrow that could produce some marginally severe or low-end severe weather. I'm also tracking some sweltering heat later on this week, as we could see some heat indices or feels like temperatures reaching the middle to upper 90s very soon. So a little bit of weather whiplash after today will be a much cooler day than what we will see later on this week, where temperatures will soar near the 90s. So a weather impact alert is in effect for today. Again, this is the main thing. We are watching for flooding and storm concerns for your Tuesday. The main concern, flash flooding. We are underneath a flood watch in effect for almost everyone in this viewing area, Hampton Roads in northeast North Carolina, excluding the eastern shore. We also are watching out for isolated tornadoes. And I'll give you a look at this low pressure system. This is a subtropical low, and later on I'll try to break down the impacts and the differences between a tropical low and a subtropical low, but they do not form the same. And they also are very different when it comes to the fronts they produce. So we'll talk more about that later on, but it does have a tropical look, or it looks tropical-esque. And so it gives us those spin-up tornadoes as those bands kind of rotate around that broader center of that spin in the low pressure system. So we'll watch out for that. We'll also watch out for some gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour, as we do expect some thunderstorms to develop later on today, mainly during the afternoon. My main thing for today is making sure you're staying weather aware, making sure you download the 13 News Now app on your phone. It can be found in the Apple Store or Google Play Store for free, and we'll send you alerts sent straight to your phone if we're underneath any warnings here across our area for the rest of the day. But if you see any roadways that are covered in water, please remember the mantra: turn around, don't drown. Never drive through flooded roadways, as you could put yourself at risk and danger of seeing some stalled vehicles or stalling your own vehicle in those areas. It only takes 6 inches of water to move your body. It takes about 12 to kind of move and float cars away. But also, if you are underneath a tornado warning today, making sure that you know where your safe space is. That's going to be an interior room without windows, or it's going to be one of those areas where we have the basement, where you're underneath the ground. If you don't have those areas, this is a good time now to phone in with a friend or a neighbor and say, hey, could I use your space if we are underneath that system? And then, of course, with gusty winds, when thunder roars, head indoors, making sure that you are inside when gusty winds start to blow through your area, or you do have that lightning threat. Now, the system we're tracking is expected to bring heavy rain and flooding and possible tornadoes today to Hampton Roads, like I just talked about. Let's take you live over Newport News, Norfolk, and Virginia Beach, where the rain has been coming down all morning long. Be careful on your morning commute. The roads are slick. Now, of course, whenever we get severe weather, there is a risk of power outages. Brianna Fallon spoke with Dominion Energy, who says they are ready to respond today.
When it comes to potential severe or damaging weather, Sharice Newsom from Dominion Energy says crews are working around the clock to prepare to respond to power outages quickly and efficiently.
All the trucks have been fully stocked. All of our warehouses are busy right now because crews are going in and out, making sure that they have all the equipment that they need to be able to respond right away.
Heavy rains are expected to hit several areas across Hampton Roads, leading to the potential threat of flash flooding.
Floodwaters can end up causing circuits to short out and damage equipment. And so one of the best measures that we use is to be proactive.
Newsom says some of their ground level transformers are raised in efforts to avoid floodwater. But if a transformer or power line does get damaged, Newsom says smart technology helps crews fix the problem quickly.
And then they can dispatch crews directly to those areas. So that helps to cut down on time as well when it comes to restoring power.
And if you're on the road during or after the storm, Newsom says it's important to stay alert for downed power lines and poles.
If you see any power lines that are in water or storm debris, assume that they are energized and stay away.
Now, of course, today we are looking for those instances where we could have some gusty winds. We have had a couple of power outages across our area today, but a lot of them have since been restored. Here's a look at the Dominion Energy outage map. At one point this morning, there were over 800 people without power in Norfolk. Now, those outages are mainly in Washington Park. Right now, only about 100 people are still without power, and that cause of the power outage is under investigation. Now, we're watching as this system brings us widespread rainfall here in Hampton Roads and Northeast North Carolina today. Taking this full look at the graphics here, you can see where all that rainfall is coming through. We do have a warm front, and sometimes warm fronts can trigger what could be a few storms here. But so far this morning, I have not even seen any lightning associated with anything going on. And so for today, what we're talking about is mainly those showers that will come through the area, bringing us some heavy downpours. But by this afternoon and evening, we could have a few thunderstorms that could pack a punch in terms of those gusty winds. Now, typically, we would see those tornado threats coming during the afternoon as well. But here's the reason why we're talking about the tornado threat this morning. It's almost like a tropical setup, like I said earlier. This tropical setup gives us that spin around the center of low pressure. So that gives us the spin we need to see rotation. But two, because we have so much moisture, that really helps to provide the energy, which we usually have for afternoon thunderstorms with the heat of the day. Instead, we use the moisture, and that gives us a lot of energy to produce those severe storms. So right now, let's take a look at what we're talking about for satellite and radar. And we're seeing some of that rainfall coming down widespread across the eastern shore. The brighter the color, the more heavy the rainfall is falling in those areas. So we're seeing some heavy downpours around parts of the eastern shore. The northern neck, middle peninsula, you are all covered in rainfall. But we are tracking some really heavy rain on the western portions, or in the western portions of Norfolk into Bennett's Harbor and Suffolk and Harborview, just north of Deep Creek. So heavy rainfall expected there on the 64 loop there in the southern parts of Hampton Roads. Druryville down to Branchville, also very heavy rainfall today. I was watching these storms there now coming across the Virginia-North Carolina border that were producing rotation and even a confirmed tornado earlier this morning in Rocky Mount. But so far, we have not seen any tornado warnings in our area, but again, we are ready to make sure that if we do, we take you through that on air, online, and on our 13 News Now streaming app here where you're watching the weather desk. We're also watching for some showers that are about to build and become a little bit more heavy in Eatonton just in a few minutes. Same with Elizabeth City. Outer Banks, you've been getting consistent rain all morning long, and that continues down NC 12. So with all this rainfall that will continue through at least the early afternoon, I think that the widespread rainfall will taper off around 4 to 5 p.m. today. We are underneath a flood watch for everybody in our viewing area. So northern neck, middle peninsula, south side, northeast North Carolina, including the Outer Banks, except for the eastern shore. And you can see where we're in that gray area from Chincoteague, Melfa. So we're talking into Accomack County, all the way down to the tips of the eastern shore. So Kip to Peak, Cape Charles, you are not in this. But in the green area where you're seeing everyone, even through the Piedmont and out into Raleigh, we are underneath that flood watch. And this means that we do have that risk for flash flooding. The reason why we were put in this flood watch is because we are underneath a level 2 out of 4 risk for severe weather, for flood potential today, a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather. But that flood risk in that light green range put us in that flood watch, or triggered that flood watch for your Tuesday. We don't have those the level 3 or 4 in the area. And sometimes we do have these levels, it could be hard to determine what we're really talking about. We are expecting excessive rainfall today. And if you're unsure or don't know what these rainfall categories mean, meteorologist Hunter Force explains the different rainfall risk categories.
The Weather Prediction Center issues an excessive rainfall outlook that is used to inform the public whenever there is a risk of flash flooding. This can help show how likely you are to encounter flash flooding if you were to drive within 25 miles of your home. Level 1 here in this green color is considered a marginal risk and is issued when isolated floods are possible. Any floods that develop are expected to be localized and primarily affect places that can experience rapid runoff and poor drainage and heavy rainfall. Level 2 is considered a slight risk and is issued when scattered flash floods are possible, but any flooding that occurs is expected to be mainly localized. Those who are most vulnerable are urban areas, roads, and small streams. But isolated significant flash floods are also still possible under this level 2 risk. Level 3 is a moderate risk and is issued when heavy rain will likely lead to numerous flash flooding events, with some potentially being significant. Many streams may flood and large rivers could be impacted as well. Level 4 is the highest risk you can get on the excessive rainfall outlook and is only used in extremely rare circumstances. This is issued when widespread flash flooding is expected, and heavy rain will likely cause severe and widespread flash flooding even in areas that don't normally experience it. As always, it's important to remember that water can be extremely powerful. So whenever there's a risk of flash flooding for your area, make sure to stay tuned to the forecast. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Hunter Forst.
I hope that gave you a little bit more understanding about what we're seeing here for the level 2 risk for excessive rainfall. Right now, here is a live look from our photojournalist, Roger Wynn, who is going up and down 264, seeing a little bit of that light rain coming through there on 264, but we're bracing for another batch of very heavy rainfall over the next hour. And road conditions have been a mess this morning. If you have to get behind the wheel, take it slow. The wet weather is creating slick conditions on our roads. We have a celebrity in here this morning. I'm so excited to have her. Marta Berglund is here and has a check of our traffic across Hampton Roads.
That shocked me to my core. Thank you, Taylor. Yes, but in all seriousness, this morning the roads have been a mess, and we need to have people increasing their following distance as well, because we've had quite a few incidents. But just another reminder, 6 inches of fast-moving water can knock you off your feet. So in those low-lying areas especially, we may run into that with this rain. Otherwise, about a foot of water can carry away a car. But don't forget about the damage that can be done by just driving through water. You just really don't want that on the undercarriage of your vehicle. As we take the latest look at our traffic map this morning, the places to watch really have been I-64 all morning long. Our connectors are improving throughout the day, but this is the exact rain outlook if you head out the door right now. So those heavier showers out to the west at the moment, but everywhere seeing rain at this time. Latest incident I want to show you. This is I-64 westbound near the Bowers Hill interchange. We have reports of a multi-vehicle crash in this area. Doesn't look like we have a camera at the exact spot, but I do want to show you this picture because the visibility is also something to worry about this morning. It's quite hazy with all the rain that's being kicked up on the roadway by the vehicles driving. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And again, increase that following distance to more than 3 seconds behind the car in front of you to avoid any slipping, sliding, and incidents. Live look at the James River Bridge. Visibility an issue there as well. As we take a look at the north end there, no major incidents at this time, but again, again, especially on those bridges, you may see some visibility issues. And this has really gotten a lot worse in the past 10 to 15 minutes here. Visibility-wise on I-64, this is near Greenbrier Parkway where we still have a multi-vehicle crash ongoing, blocking off 2 lanes of traffic. And I believe the camera is shaking that much due to the windy conditions. So that just goes to show the conditions we're seeing right now on the roads this morning. A bit of haziness, bit of wind, a lot of rain at this time. Do want to show you US 58 in Suffolk as well. Not nearly as problematic at this time. Just seeing wetness, sogginess on the roads. Still something to be aware of as you head out the door. We're seeing it all throughout the region. Drive times if you're on 264 to and from Virginia Beach, looking good at this time. No major delays there. Downtown tunnel to the Berkeley Bridge, some pretty heavy congestion, but that is typical for this time of morning. That's not something that's necessarily weather related. You may be slowed down a little bit extra due to the weather this morning. And then drive times coming across the peninsula to the south side. HRBT seeing some minor delays. Monitor Merrimack and James River Bridge looking good right now. But you see these driving speeds are a little bit slower than usual, so that is something to be aware of this morning. I have been checking in on the Outer Banks all morning long. NC-12 not seeing any major flooding right now. Near the Wright Memorial Bridge, we have some wetness on the camera, but no major flooding that I'm seeing on our still shot. This is how they update them in North Carolina. So we'll keep an eye on that and let you know how that changes throughout the day as the rain continues to fall. Taylor.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Marta. It's really impactful to have you here today. We are still tracking that rain throughout our area, and we're seeing it so widespread at this moment. But another thing that Marta mentioned that I do want to tap into is today will be a breezy day. You saw that camera just swishing back and forth from the gusty conditions. And so right now, if we can take these graphics full screen, that'd be great. We could see, thank you so much, we could see those wind gusts up to about 20 to 31 miles per hour there in Kiptopeke, where we're seeing the breeziest conditions on the peninsulas. For parts of the south side, 20 to 25 miles per hour, even a 26 mile per hour gust in Virginia Beach, Fentress, that's in Chesapeake and up into Cape Henry. So very gusty there. And then even breezier in Elizabeth City, wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Elsewhere across northeast North Carolina, wind gusts anywhere from 15 to 25 miles per hour. One other thing we are watching is that we are watching for the severe thunderstorm threat. Now, we are tracking the potential for some spin-up tornadoes. Like I said, this has a tropical look to it. It is not a tropical low. It just looks like it with the very big bulk of moisture being pulled into Hampton Roads in northeast North Carolina, but also the fact that the rotation of these rain bands could potentially give us a tornado threat. So the dynamics or the atmospheric conditions are favorable for spin-up tornadoes. That is possible for everyone. So everyone highlighted in this level 1 out of 5 risk. That risk for the gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour comes later on today. So we're not only keeping an eye out for flooding, but we're also keeping an eye out for those spin-up tornadoes and those gusty winds. Meteorologist Craig Muller explains the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning.
I'm going to start off by tackling watches versus warnings. First of all, a watch means there are favorable conditions. It means you need to stay informed and be prepared. Have a plan if severe weather does develop. A warning, that means there's an imminent threat. You need to stay informed, know what's going on, but most importantly, you have to take action when a warning is issued. In all instances, warnings are more important than watches. Remember, a watch means the ingredients are there, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen. A warning means it's happening or is likely to happen and headed your way. To make this a little bit clearer, let's head to my kitchen.
It's really as simple as making an omelet. You can have the ingredients like peppers, fresh pico, olives, bacon. You can whip the eggs and put them in a skillet. But unless it cooks, it's not an omelet, and you wouldn't want to eat it. The same is true for possible severe storms. The 4 key ingredients for severe storms: moisture, instability, wind shear, and lift. When those conditions exist, the Storm Prediction Center issues a watch. When we add heat to our ingredients, our omelet starts to cook. You can see it. You can smell it. Get ready to eat. When storms actually fire up, warnings are issued, and it's time to act.
And so we are watching for the potential of some tornadoes in this area that I have right here. We were watching for a little bit of rotation that was coming through earlier today. It's because I was watching for what was a cell that did produce a tornado earlier today that was down in parts of north and central North Carolina. So we are talking right here near Rocky Mount. Here are our storm reports, and you can see where those tornado icons are just to the south and east of Rocky Mount at this point. And so right now, taking our graphics full, we can see that this report from Rocky Mount says from the Rocky Mount area from Pine Tops, that's the city, in Edgecombe County, structural damage in trees and power lines were down at Gay Street and School Street, just upstream from cracks, a confirmed tornado. That's why earlier today, if you were maybe just looking at your radar, you saw our radar on 13newsnow.com, the tornado box was not red, it was pink, and that's because it was a confirmed tornado. Here's the other tornado report from that same area. It's the one just above it from Pine Tops. Again, just a confirmed tornado, but they have damage. Now, we were talking about in the weather chat earlier, the meteorologists were saying if it did not produce damage, it would be called an EFU or an EF unknown, meaning that if a tornado does not produce damage, we cannot determine what the actual rating is on a scale from 0 to 5. So it produced damage. So I'm sure the Weather Service, once this system or the rain passes through, they will go out and assess the damage and see what the rating is. That's just, again, just south and east of Rocky Mount, but it was producing some of those tornadic cells earlier today. And right now, here's a look at just our velocity or relative wind speeds. And nothing to me is sticking out. When you want to see areas that have rotation, then you're looking for reds and greens to touch and kind of mix together. And I'm not seeing anything that's really striking my eye at this point. Nothing going on that is any significance velocity wise or wind speed wise and rotation wise around the peninsulas or the south side, even heading into northeast North Carolina, but there still is the potential. So I'm looking out for it. Meteorologist Everton Stewart is also here in studio watching for that as well. I can also see if I have any shear. Remember, wind shear is the changing of wind direction or the changing of wind speed with height. And I'm not seeing anything that's sticking out or any wind shear popping up there. So that's good news for us. That's what we want to see, but we will be keeping out for it as we head throughout the rest of your day. Now, we know the difference between watches and warnings, but how do tornadoes form? Let's send it over to meteorologist Evan Stewart for a closer look at that.
Tornadoes are among the most powerful and unpredictable natural disasters, but they form under very specific atmospheric conditions. These violent rotating columns of air extend down from thunderstorms to the ground, and they're capable of producing widespread destruction in just a matter of minutes. Now, the process of tornado formation begins with colliding air masses that create instability in the atmosphere, producing thunderstorms. But crucial to tornado formation is wind shear. That's when winds blow in different directions and different speeds at different altitudes. And this creates a horizontal spinning current of air within the thunderstorm. Now, as warm air rises and cool air sinks, updrafts within the storm can tilt that horizontal rotating column of air into a vertical position. And if conditions continue to intensify, the rotation tightens and accelerates, potentially leading to the formation of a tornado.
Thank you so much, Evan. And again, that's one of the things we're looking out for today is that formation of some brief tornadoes. And we're talking brief tornadoes, I mean, not staying on the ground long, but also we're not going to see them being strong tornadoes either. We're talking maybe EF0, EF1. Your stronger tornado setups are mainly for our spring cold fronts that come through. So let's talk about the threat significance we have for today, taking our graphics full. Gusty winds are on that lower end this afternoon for winds up to about 60 miles per hour. Hail, not a threat for us today. Tornadoes, again, having that low end threat, not zero, but not very high. And again, any tornadoes that do form will be brief and they will be weak in nature. Flooding is our main concern and the medium risk for us. as we're watching for the potential of flash flooding. Here's a look from your Thompson Creek Window Company sky view. It's a very dreary morning here in downtown Norfolk. As you see, rain covering our camera this morning. Right now, conditions are showing rain or a little bit of drizzle at the airport. Temperatures in the upper 60s. We could have heavy downpours later on today, and we'll stay in the upper 60s and lower 70s all day long as we continue with this wet weather pattern that we are in the midst of right now. So across our area today, what we're continuing to see is just that widespread heavy rainfall coming through and continuing through the rest of the day. That rainfall will slowly start to taper up to the north, and that we'll see the continuance of the heavy rainfall through about lunchtime. And then as we get into the rest of your day, we'll see that starting to slowly move up towards the DC area and Maryland areas out of our hair. Now, here's that look by the afternoon. You can see where that rainfall is starting to move to the north, upper 60s to lower to middle 70s for highs today. Again, breezy conditions, wind gusts up to about 35 miles per hour. And then the rain continues to trek to the north. We'll get a little bit of a break in the action tomorrow morning, almost a 180 of what we did today, where we're seeing some clearing of the cloud cover. Temperatures in the morning, though, still mild, middle 60s inland, upper 60s, lower 70s around the water. But it's going to be more of like a summertime feel tomorrow, where we'll have temperatures rising back to the upper 70s and lower 80s. And with the heat of the day and the moisture in place, we're going to see showers and thunderstorms pop up during the afternoon. We will have the opportunity for some damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour tomorrow. So we're underneath a level 1 out of 5 risk. And that's really going to be around the heat of the day. So 4 to 5 p.m. You can see the burst of energy coming through for Hampton Roads in northeast North Carolina. That starts to wane late on Thursday. We'll see a few afternoon showers on Thursday, and then our next cold front comes on Friday and Saturday, and that will bring us our next round of rain. So we're talking rain each and every day as we head through the next 5 days. Temperatures today in the lower 70s with that cloud cover and widespread rainfall. The weather impact alert in effect all day long. Tomorrow, no weather impact alert, but we will be having the chance for showers and thunderstorms after some sunshine in the morning. So it's going to be nice to see the sun once again. And then afternoon showers on Thursday with highs in the middle 80s, and then we'll be near the upper 80s, lower 90s. But when you're packing on the high humidity, it will feel more like the middle to upper 90s by the time we get to Friday and Saturday. So definitely make sure you're drinking plenty of water if you're heading outside later on this week. By Sunday and Monday, that cold front clears, gives us nicer conditions. We're talking sunshine returning in full throttle by Monday, and temperatures then falling back into the lower 80s. Thank you so much for joining us for the Weather Desk today. If you want to download the 13 News Now app, you can do it on your phone. There's a QR code to scan for that app. It's free to download on the Apple Store and on Google Play. Remember, you can always track the latest news, weather, and traffic on this app on the go in your free time. Again, thank you so much for joining me for the Weather Desk today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson with 13 News Now. We'll be streaming here on 13 News Now Plus all day long as we're tracking our weather impact alert for flooding, the potential for isolated tornadoes, and damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour for your Tuesday. It'll be a mix of me, meteorologist Evan Stewart, and Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandages. We're here to help you and guide you through your weather impact alert. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and see you tomorrow on the Weather Desk with meteorologist Craig Mueller.